Hey, welcome to the series of everything you need to know about Python in simplest possible way. In the series of pattern printing, so far we have seen so many patterns. In this video, we will see how we can actually print this particular pattern. So if you carefully see this pattern, in this pattern we have 5 rows and each row we have some values which are starting with 1 and going till some particular number. So let's go ahead and see how we can actually print this particular pattern. So for that, what I will be doing is that I will take a variable rows to keep track of how many number of rows we are having to generate these many number of rows. So for that reason, I will take the rows as 5 because we have 5 rows in this pattern, right? So later we will dynamically take input from the user for rows and print accordingly. So now what I will be doing is that I will take a spaces variable because if you carefully observe this pattern, apart from these numbers, we are also having spaces before actually having these numbers. So in order to get this particular pattern, we need these spaces to be printed before actually printing these numbers. So for that reason, I will take the spaces variable to keep track of all these spaces. So initially, I will take the spaces variable value as 0 because if you observe this pattern in the first row we don't have any spaces. For that reason I am taking spaces as 0. Later we will change the value of spaces and print spaces accordingly. So now what I will be doing is that to generate these rows, I will be using a for loop. For I in range, we will be generating a range of values. So now the question is, what are the range of values we will be generating? So if you carefully observe this pattern, we are starting with 5 and 4, 3, 2, 1. So as we have this many number of rows, we are starting with that particular number of rows and we are going till the value of 1. So for that reason what I will be doing is that I will take rows and I will mention 0 here, and on each iteration I am mentioning -1. So this range function will generate a range of values from 5 till 1. So for that reason I have mentioned 0 so that it will stop at the value 1. So in this what I will be doing is that just to know what we have in the variable I am just printing the variable I here. So here we have I, and you can actually compare these values of I with this particular pattern. So if you could able to compare this, if you can see in this last row, last column right here, we can able to see 5 4 3 2 1, and in the I values we are having 5 4 3 2 1. So by using this I variable we can actually get this pattern, right? So how we are getting this pattern by using this I is that we will start with value 1 and we will go till the value of I here. So by doing so we can actually get this particular pattern. I hope that makes sense. So let us go ahead and see how we can do that. So for that reason, I will take one more loop in order to print this particular values here, because in each row we are getting some numbers, right? So what we do generally when we have a repeated statements, here these statements of printing on rows are repeating, right? So for that reason, I will take one more loop and I will use j in range. As we have discussed earlier, we need to start with 1 and go till the value of I in order to get these particular values. For that reason, I will start with 1 and I will go till the value of I. So for that reason, I have mentioned I plus 1 here. So in this, what we will be doing is that instead of printing I, we will print j here because that is what we are trying to do here, right? So we will in this j value in each iteration we are starting with 1 going till the value of I plus 1. So by using this outer for loop we will generate those many number of rows, and in the inner for loop on each row we will be generating those values in each row. So for that reason I have mentioned j here. So if we execute this, we don't actually get the whole pattern, but we will get the values. So later we will arrange those values to get the pattern. So let's see what we have here. So if you could able to see here, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, and also 1, 2, 3. Like that, we are actually getting these values which are exactly present in this pattern. The only thing we need to do here is that we need to arrange these values. We will get this particular pattern. So for that, what I will be doing is that I will mention an end is equal to a single space, because by default in print this end parameter having this end parameter as new line character, I am overriding the new line character with a single space. If I execute this, I am getting everything in a single line. But that is not also what we have expected, right? So if you could able to observe this pattern, on each completion of this inner for loop, we are getting a new line, right? So we are getting a new line and we are getting a new row here. For that reason, after completion of this particular inner for loop, I will use a print. So by using this print, we can actually get a new line character. As we have discussed, this end parameter by default have a new line character, right? So if I execute this, I can able to get this particular result. But that is not also what we wanted. We want this kind of result which is having these spaces before actually having these numbers. As we have discussed earlier, in order to print this particular pattern, we also need to print spaces. Before actually printing these spaces here, we cannot actually get this pattern. For that reason, I will use a print statement as and when I enter into this outer for loop, right? So that is what we need to do before actually printing these numbers. We need to print spaces. Here we are printing numbers. For that reason, I am printing spaces in this row here after after entering to the outer for loop space, and I will multiply this space with spaces. By using the string multiplication, we can actually get this. So I am using an end parameter with nothing, and later what I will be doing is that I will increase these spaces on each iteration, because if you see here, we are getting increased these spaces on each iteration to get this pattern. That is what I am doing in this statement here. So if I execute this, I can able to get this particular pattern exactly what we have here. So that is what this logic to get this particular pattern. I hope you can able to understand this logic. If not, I will sincerely suggest you to watch this video once again carefully so that you can able to understand this logic to get this particular pattern. So now what we will be doing is that we will take input of rows dynamically from the user and print the pattern based on the user input. For that reason, I will use in parameter enter rows here. So if I execute this, I am asking to enter rows. If I give value as 6, we can able to get the pattern which is what we have expected, starting with 1 going till 6 and repeating on in each row. So next what I will be doing is that I will give one more number. Let's say I am giving number as 9. So if I execute this, I am getting the similar pattern what we have expected. So now I hope you can able to understand this, and I hope you can able to write the logic for this particular pattern. So if that is true, hit the like button. In the next video, we will see how we can print this particular pattern. So to stay updated, subscribe to this channel and turn on the notifications to all, so that whenever I upload any video, you will get the notification. So thank you for watching this video. See you in the next one.